There's a moment we've all lived through. You're speaking clearly, calmly, steadily, and suddenly someone cuts in as if your voice carries no weight. They interrupt, they overtalk, they try to take over the space, and you're left wondering whether your words matter at all. But here's the truth most people miss. Real presence in a conversation doesn't come from speaking louder. It comes from speaking with precision. When you choose your language with stoic discipline, you can stop anyone from interrupting without raising your tone, without losing composure, and without stepping out of character. Stoic philosophy teaches one core principle. You may not control their behavior, but you can absolutely control the power of your presence. And today, I'm going to give you 5 words that instantly shift the dynamic, reclaim your place, and command respect, even from those who rarely listen to anyone. Stay here with me, because once you understand them, you'll never feel ignored again. Phrase 1. Hold on. There's a reason this one is at the top. Hold on is the cleanest, sharpest, and most reliable way to take back the moment when someone tries to push over your words. It doesn't sound dramatic. It doesn't sound confrontational. It doesn't sound emotional. And that's exactly what makes it effective. It's like gently placing your hand on the table, not slamming it, and signaling that the discussion doesn't continue without you. Most people don't understand this. Interruptions succeed because you hesitate, not because the other person is stronger. When someone cuts in, they depend on that tiny moment, a single breath, where you pause, shrink, or question whether what you're saying carries enough importance to continue. In that hesitation, you hand them control. Hold on shuts that window. It stops their momentum without feeding their ego, without escalating tension, and without making you sound defensive. It is calm assertiveness, the tone ancient Stoics mastered. The real strength isn't in the word itself, but in how it shifts the psychological rhythm. When you say hold on, you insert a pause that you control. You slow the pace, you ground yourself, you make the interrupter collide with your stillness, and people instinctively adjust when they meet stillness. It makes them check themselves. Now picture saying it with the right delivery, slow, steady, grounded. Hold on, no rush, no sharpness, just quiet authority. And you'll notice something change immediately. Their voice weakens, or they stop altogether. Their forward energy suddenly hits a barrier, your presence, and halts. And here's what most overlook. Hold on is not about winning a moment. It's about owning it. Let's bring this into real situations. In a meeting where someone speaks over you, you simply turn slightly, not aggressively, and say, hold on. Then finish your thought. No apology, no speeding up, no shrinking. The room feels the change instantly. You claim your voice back. In a heated argument where emotions rise, they get louder. You don't. You say, hold on. Your calm immediately exposes their chaos. The temperature drops because you've made it clear you won't get dragged into emotional noise. With someone manipulative who interrupts on purpose, it's not random, it's a move for control. Hold on breaks that pattern. You're communicating without saying it outright. I see what you're doing. It won't work. This is Stoic communication at its essence. Control the tempo, and you control the power. Marcus Aurelius wrote repeatedly about inserting a moment of stillness between what happens and how you respond. Hold on is that stillness made audible. It is the pause between the stimulus and your choice. And when you create that pause in a conversation, you become the emotional anchor while the other person becomes reactive. Hold on also works because it carries no hostility. You're not accusing, attacking, or escalating. You're drawing a boundary, clean, steady, confident. And boundaries spoken quietly strike harder than boundaries shouted. Here's the truth. People interrupt those who seem interruptible. They talk over those who appear unsure. They dominate those who signal they'll back down. When you say, "Hold on," you rewrite that signal. You're telling the room, "I'm still talking, my voice matters, I'm not giving this moment away." And something interesting happens the more you use it. People begin interrupting less, not because you became intimidating, but because you became unmistakably clear. They feel the boundary before they hit it. Practice this today. Say it slowly. Say it with calm conviction. Say it with the expectation of being heard, not because you're forceful, but because you're steady. You'll notice the shift instantly. Your presence becomes heavier. Your voice lands deeper, and people think twice before cutting across you again. Hold on isn't just a phrase. It's your first line of defense and your first display of quiet, stoic authority. Phrase 2. Listen. This is the reset word, rarely used, but one that changes the entire atmosphere the moment it's spoken. Most interruptions happen because the other person believes they can steer the conversation faster, louder, and with more force than you. They rely on momentum. They rely on your hesitation. They rely on the assumption that you'll shrink when they speed up or raise their tone. But when you say, "Listen," everything shifts. Why? Because listen isn't simply a word. It's a command for focus. It pulls attention back to you without force, ego, or emotional intensity. It signals that the conversation isn't spiraling, isn't drifting, isn't slipping into chaos. Instead, it's returning to center, your center. Most people, when interrupted, fall into weak fillers. "Wait, just a second, let me talk, please." But these sound like apologies or requests for permission, and people don't respect permission-seeking language. Listen is different. It doesn't beg, it doesn't negotiate, it asserts. When delivered calmly, slowly, and with deliberate weight, it becomes a psychological anchor. The interrupter pauses, the room adjusts, the pace slows and bends toward you, not because you forced them to listen, but because your calm made listening the natural next step. Stoics understood this well. Clarity is authority, calm is authority, presence is authority, and listen contains all three. Picture someone jumping into your sentence with a long tangent. Instead of trying to reclaim your point immediately, you wait for a single small pause, a breath, and then say, "Listen, here's what I'm saying." The word becomes a steering wheel. Their tangent loses direction. Your message returns to the center. This works everywhere. When someone steamrolls your thought, "Listen, let me finish this idea." No hostility, just leadership. When someone louder tries to dominate, "Listen, there's something you're overlooking." You don't counter volume with volume, you counter it with composure. When emotions start rising, "Listen, let's stay focused." You immediately reset the emotional tone. When someone twists your words, "Listen, that's not what I meant." Clear, calm correction. The power of listen lies in its neutrality. It doesn't trigger defensiveness because it's not an attack. It doesn't heighten conflict because it's not emotional. It simply commands attention. And here's the psychological twist. People are conditioned from childhood to respond to this word. Parents use it to regain control. Teachers use it for order. Leaders use it for clarity. So when you say it, the interrupter feels that familiar shift, not of dominance, but of direction. Your energy sets the rules. Your tone shapes the frame. Your pace becomes the rhythm. This is Stoic speech. Influence without aggression, control without force, authority without raising your voice. Interrupters expect one of two reactions: emotional pushback or insecure retreat. When you give them neither, when you offer steadiness instead, you take the entire moment back. You're not fighting for space, you're defining it. You're not responding to their intrusion, you're guiding the whole exchange back onto your track. And the best part? The more you use listen, the less you'll need it. People begin sensing the steadiness in your voice. They realize you're not someone who gets brushed aside. Try it today. Say it once. Say it evenly. Say it like your words carry weight, which they do. And the moment you say listen, everyone else will feel it too. Phrase 3. Exactly. This is the subtle power word. The one that doesn't push, doesn't clash, and doesn't fight for space, yet somehow pulls the conversation back into your hands with almost no resistance. Exactly is the Stoic version of redirecting someone's force using their own momentum. It's verbal aikido. Instead of stopping the interruption, you use it. Most people misunderstand what it means to regain control when someone cuts them off. They believe they must assert themselves, correct the other person, or reclaim the floor through force. That's the instinct of a reactive mind. But Stoicism teaches something different. Often the fastest path to control is through non-resistance. Exactly captures that idea perfectly. When someone interrupts, they expect tension. They expect you to defend. They expect a pushback. But when you simply say, exactly, and here's what I was saying, you disrupt their entire attempt to shift the narrative. Why does it work? Because interruption feeds off emotional movement. When you remove resistance, that movement collapses. But the brilliance of exactly goes further. It sends 3 psychological messages at once. First, you're not threatened. You didn't flinch or rush. That shows confidence. Second, you're still guiding the direction. By linking their interruption back to your point, you retain narrative control. Third, you're not interested in ego battles. That lowers tension while raising your authority. Here's how it looks in real situations. In the workplace, someone interrupts to clarify your idea, or worse, to restate it as their own. Instead of arguing, you say calmly, exactly. And what this really shows is, suddenly the room returns to you. Their momentum fades. You lead again without sounding confrontational. With dominant personalities who interrupt to steer the talk toward their agenda, you don't resist, you absorb. Exactly, and building on that, now their detour becomes your continuation, subtle, powerful. In disagreements, someone challenges you in the middle of your sentence. Most people react by defending themselves, and the argument heats up. But you respond with, exactly, which is why this matters. You hold steady authority while shifting the discussion back to your point. You reclaim the direction of the conversation without raising your voice. Exactly also throws the interrupter off balance in a productive way. When someone expects conflict but receives none, their emotional momentum disappears instantly. They lose the ability to push further because the tension they were depending on simply isn't there. And this is where the Stoic principle becomes clear. You don't regain control by overpowering interruptions. You regain it by removing the emotional fuel they run on. Exactly dissolves ego. It dissolves noise. It dissolves the need for dominance. But at the same time, it elevates you, not in loudness, but in presence. Because the calm person who redirects the conversation with one simple word always seems more grounded than the one fighting for attention. When used regularly, exactly builds an internal reputation around you. People realize that arguing with you doesn't create dominance, it creates clarity. They sense that interrupting you doesn't unsettle you, it reveals your steadiness, and steadiness is power. Try using it in your next conversation, not to win, not to clap back, but to guide, to redirect, to protect the integrity of your message without stepping into emotional fights that waste time and weaken your presence. Exactly is not surrender. It's redirection, leadership disguised as agreement. It's the quiet acknowledgement that lets you steer the conversation exactly where you want it to go. This word doesn't just pull the discussion back to you, it makes you the most stable, focused voice in the room. and that kind of presence isn't interrupted twice. Phrase 4. Anyway. If hold on is the boundary, if listen is the reset, and if exactly is the redirection, then anyway is the clean break. The smooth, stoic exit from chaos, drama, and emotional traps. This is the word that protects your time, preserves your energy, and removes the power of anyone trying to drag you into pointless detours. It's the conversational version of stepping out of the river while others are still wrestling the current. Most interruptions aren't just interruptions, they're invitations to react, to defend, to justify, to get tangled in emotional nonsense. And the moment you accept that invitation, the interrupter wins. They wanted you off track. Done. They wanted confusion. Done. They wanted emotional noise. Done. But anyway rejects the entire frame. Anyway tells the interrupter and everyone watching that you're not here for tangents, ego games, or emotional clutter. You're here for clarity. It brings the focus back to your message, not theirs, and it does so without sounding angry or defensive. It's quiet power. Why does it work? Because anyway creates psychological distance. It hands emotional responsibility back to them. It shows that their attempt to derail the conversation failed. And unlike sharp comeback phrases, anyway doesn't inflame anything. It calms while asserting authority. Let's look at real examples to see how this works. Scenario 1. The interrupter who twists your words. You make a point. They jump in and distort it into something exaggerated or irrelevant, hoping you'll react emotionally so they can take control. Most people argue or defend themselves, but you simply say, anyway, the point is, no drama, no defensiveness, just direction. You instantly pull the focus back to your message. Scenario 2. The passive-aggressive interrupter. They cut in with sarcastic remarks, subtle jabs, or disguised insults. They want you to bite. They want emotional chaos, but you don't react. You let their comment fall empty. Then, anyway, as I was saying, your calmness exposes their insecurity. Your steadiness reveals their pettiness. The power dynamic flips quietly. Scenario 3. The tangent hijacker. You're making a point. They interrupt and drag the conversation into a long, unrelated story about themselves. You let them go for a moment, not out of weakness, but out of control. Then you bring it back. Anyway, let's stay focused. You didn't fight their tangent, you simply refused to stay in it. Scenario 4. The provocateur. Some interrupt solely to provoke or test if they can rattle you. If you defend yourself, they win. But if you say, anyway, moving on, you starve their ego. Their attempt dissolves. This is stoicism in motion. What you don't feed, you rise above. Anyway is verbal detachment. It's you choosing clarity over chaos, and that's its real strength, asserting control without creating a clash. But the delivery matters. A stoic anyway is calm, steady, and grounded. Not irritated, not rushed, not sharp, just unshaken. Because when you say it with emotional neutrality, you send a message. You cannot be thrown off center, not by their tone, not by their ego, not by their attempt to derail you. And the more you use this word, the faster people realize something important. You're not someone who gets pulled into emotional traps. You're not someone who loses direction mid-sentence. You're not someone who lets others rewrite the topic. You're the one who keeps the path straight, and you expect the conversation to follow it. Eventually, people adjust. Not because they want to, but because your clarity forces them to. Here's the deeper truth. Using anyway consistently changes you as well. It strengthens emotional discipline. It sharpens your mental frame. It trains you to choose clarity instead of chaos. It teaches you that not every remark, interruption, or provocation deserves your attention. Most of it deserves nothing more than a calm, grounded anyway. Try it once, just once, in a real conversation. You'll feel the power. Not aggressive, not loud, just clean, steady, stoic direction, the kind of direction that cannot be interrupted. Phrase 5. No. This is the strongest, cleanest, and most fearlessly simple boundary word in human language. It doesn't need volume, it doesn't need explanation, it doesn't need emotional decoration. Used with stoic discipline, no becomes a full stop, a clear line that cannot be crossed, a sign that the conversation will not continue on someone else's terms. People fear this word because they misunderstand it. They think no sounds rude. They think no creates conflict. They think no makes them appear difficult, so they soften it into long apologetic phrases. I'm sorry, can I please finish? I don't mean to interrupt, but can I talk for a moment? Is it okay if I just say something real quick? Every extra word shrinks you. Every apology hands power back to the interrupter. Stoics understood something deeper. Unclear boundaries invite disrespect. And the fastest way to take your voice back is the most direct one. No is that path. But its true power lies in psychology, because no does 3 things instantly. First, it stops the interrupter's momentum. Interruptions depend on speed and emotional push. No ends that immediately. Second, it forces the interrupter to self-reflect. Most people don't even realize they're interrupting. Your calm no makes it obvious fast. Third, it resets the power dynamic. You show you're not requesting space, you're taking it. And unlike defensive explanations, no carries no insecurity, no emotional leakage, no weakness. It's clean authority. But here's the crucial part. The delivery must be stoic. A stoic no is slow, calm, grounded, and unaffected. Not loud, not sharp, not irritated, not emotional. Because the moment your tone carries emotion, the interrupter wins. But when your no is steady and unbothered, they freeze, not out of fear, but because your composure highlights their lack of it. Let's see how this unfolds. Scenario 1. The steamroller. They speak louder and quicker, trying to barrel through your sentence as if they own the moment. You wait for the slightest pause, then say, "No, I'm talking," not dramatic, not hostile, just a clear statement of fact. They halt. Everyone feels the shift instantly. Scenario 2. The self-important interrupter. They cut in because they assume their point outranks yours. You break their momentum. "No, let me finish." You didn't raise your voice. You didn't mirror their intensity. You simply held your position, and suddenly theirs collapses. Scenario 3. The manipulator. They interrupt to twist your message, redirect control, or throw off your emotional balance. Your response: "No, that's not where we're going." You decline their frame. You decline their bait. You decline their attempt to take over. And this is where the deeper stoic insight shows itself. No is not a rejection of them as a person. It's a rejection of the boundary they crossed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Stand tall, do not be turned aside." No is that principle turned into sound. It is the moment you protect the clarity of your message, your timing, and your presence. People test you far less when they learn your no is genuine, not emotional, not explosive, not debatable. And the more you use this word, the more natural it feels. You speak with sharper boundaries. You stop explaining what doesn't need explanation. You stop justifying things that don't require justification. You stop rewarding disrespect with politeness. No builds an internal backbone, a quiet respect for yourself, a presence others feel before you speak. And slowly, the environment shifts. People don't interrupt you anymore, not out of fear, but because they sense steadiness. They sense someone who will not be pushed aside, minimized, or spoken over. Try it today. Say no once, just once, without softening it, without apologizing, without burying it under unnecessary words. Say it plainly, say it calmly, say it because your voice matters, and it does. And when you learn to say no with calm confidence and stillness, interruptions disappear and respect rises. Before we finish this video, you need to understand the deeper structure behind these 5 words. Their strength doesn't come from the letters, they come from the Stoic mindset behind them. Anyone can say, hold on, listen, exactly. Anyway, no. But only someone grounded and self-controlled can use them in a way that changes the energy of an entire conversation. And it starts with awareness. When someone interrupts you, the untrained mind reacts immediately. Frustration, defensiveness, insecurity, or the urge to speak faster and louder. But a Stoic sees the interruption for what it is, an external event, not a judgment, not a personal attack, not an emergency, just something happening in front of you. The power begins in noticing the impulse to react, then choosing not to. That choice creates control, the essence of Stoic communication. Control of pace, control of tone, control of your emotional temperature. When you speak slowly while someone else speeds up, you establish psychological leadership. When you remain steady while they escalate, you become the anchor in the room. Stoics influence not by overpowering others, but by refusing to let others overpower their inner state. From that control emerges boundary, the quiet force behind these 5 words. A boundary isn't a barrier, it's a standard, a rule for how you allow yourself to be treated. When you use these words with clarity and steadiness, you're not just responding, you're teaching people how to interact with you. You show them that your voice carries weight, your presence has shape, and your space isn't taken without permission. This is why people stop interrupting you, because you're no longer fighting for the moment, you're defining it. And once you learn to define the moment, every conversation becomes yours to guide. You've just learned 5 simple words that can shift the way people treat you. Not with force, not with defensiveness, but with calm, deliberate Stoic clarity. Hold on, the boundary. Listen, the reset. Exactly, the pivot. Anyway, the detachment. No, the final line. Together, they form a communication style that protects your peace, commands respect, and keeps you centered no matter who tries to interrupt, overpower, or derail your voice. At the core of Stoic philosophy is a truth. You can't control how others behave, but you can always control the presence, tone, and clarity you bring into the room. So practice these words. Use them with intention. Bring them into conversations, challenges, and moments where your presence matters. You'll feel the shift. People stop talking over you, stop pushing your limits, and start listening when you speak. If this helped you reclaim your voice, share your thoughts in the comments. Like the video, pass it to someone who needs this reminder, and subscribe for more Stoic tools to strengthen your mind and your life. Your voice has power.